Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to A Wild Podcast Has Appeared, episode 51, the 1 year anniversary. I think if you asked any of us if we'd make it this far, we'd probably all tell you no.
Yep. No, I thought this thing was going to get canceled after like a month.
I mean, I definitely was expecting this for the long haul, but like, great to know. Well, I mean, this just further reinforces the fact that I co-host with two eternal pessimists. So,
I am one of your hosts, Jim Biscardi, and as you heard, Christian Huffer, Megan Peters, also on the line. Week 387 of quarantine, and sure enough, the Pokemon world is still turning. This is a Pokemon show. We talk about all of your favorite things as it relates to the world of Pokemon, be it the video games, trading card games, board games. There's some board games out there. Pokemon stuff, anime, manga, etc. This show is to make you a better Pokemon fan. And who better than us to help you along that journey? Because the show's broken up into 3 sections. The first section is news. So you get everything you need to know in like the first 15 or so minutes of the show. Then we take a break. It's like 30 seconds. It's not really a long break. We come back. We do a deep dive where we take the biggest news of the week and we really kind of dissect it for you and tell you why it's important, why it's a big deal, and what we kind of look to see where it may go and what we learn from it. And then at the very end, fan favorite segment of the show, the Pokemon Fact of the Week. That is probably the best description of the show I have ever done.
Yeah, usually you fumble that.
We just need to record that. We just need to record that bit, plug it in every time. We're good. Just have it on backup.
We do our intro and then we all go silent and then just run this part and then
yeah, I can't really beat what I said last time, so roll the clip. I mean, essentially.
If you watch the video edition of this show, you can see Megan's background is like everyone's favorite starter Pokemon is growing, evolving.
Yes, it's huge. If we it's a massive little nerd display. I have an entire Scooby shelf. My Pokemon shelf is right behind me, so I did get from the office. Christian Hoffer sent me the Vaporeon figure.
Nice.
Very excited. It's so cute if you're watching the video. I also got Sylveon from the Pokemon Center that came out. It's shipped super quick. So
yeah, I know.
It's like they have nothing else to do in the pandemic. But
could you just imagine people sitting at the warehouse going, quick. We got an order.
Yeah, it shipped super quick. I ordered it, and then the next day it came, and my fiance came in and was like, "You have a package," and I was like, "What is it?" And we opened it and I was like, wow, okay. So I don't have the Eevee one, the original, the first one that came out, the 2 Eevee figures. Obviously the resale prices on these are ridiculous. So if anyone has an extra, hit me up. Hit me up. I'm not below it. I'm not below it.
Nice. And then I'm going the virtual background route today with the Golem shirt from our friends over at Original Stitch. Put out some digital backgrounds, which is very, very cool. So,
yeah,
little extra spice for those who watch the video. And
my background has not changed.
Has not changed
at all. Why mess with perfection?
Wow.
All right, let's jump into the news because I am super excited for our first bit. We're getting some new Bandai models.
Mm-hmm.
Sure enough, we're getting Gengar.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Here's the thing. I'm super excited, but it's going to be so easy to build.
It's basically like a repainted Pikachu.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be so easy to build. The Eevee one, the Pikachu one, the Pikachu one was by far the easiest to build. Yeah. And this Gengar body is just basically like a purple marshmallow with arms and little tiny feet nubs. So it's going to be so easy to just click into place, but I'm super excited. It's so cute.
Yeah.
So my favorite part about this, so when I sent out the link to Jim and Megan yesterday, there's a website that I tend to order a lot of these from, especially since everything else is shut down right now, and they actually showed the website had an image of like what it looks like
pieces
spread
inside.
out, and
So
like
it's like 6 pieces.
it's
Yeah.
well, no, there's a surprising amount of them, but the creepiest thing is that the inside of it is pink because of the mouth. So because you can switch out the mouths, they have different. Not only do they have closed mouth Gengar, they also have open mouth Gengar, and you can swap out open mouth Gengar with its tongue in a normal position with open mouth, like 3-foot long tongue Gengar, which
It's not
is
Lickitung we're talking about here. I don't want Lickitung Gengar. I want scary Portal to Hell Gengar. So that's what I'm going to be going
I
for.
think
That's
it
it.
looks
If they ever do a gallery figure of Gengar, I need it to be Gigantamax Gengar.
they do have a gallery figure of Gengar. I don't have it. It's him doing Shadow Ball.
Oh.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was one of the. I think that's one of 2 of the the DX, the deluxe ones I don't have is Gengar and Gardevoir.
Yeah.
But yeah, they do actually have a gallery figure of that.
Oh. I want a new one though, with Carnival to Hell.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you get, a Gengar in which you can hear your dead loved ones calling for you from inside its mouth, you buy that. Yeah, 100%. I mean, how does that even work when they do the inevitable like Gigantamax plushes? Because I saw that they're starting to release a few of those. It's like, how are they even going to do the Gengar plush? Because it comes in like 4 parts.
Are they really? Which ones are they doing?
I saw they had Pikachu, Eevee, Meowth. Let me pull up the Pokemon.
Well, those are like easy to do. It's basically long cat, fat Pikachu, and big Eevee.
But they have the crazy thing is though, they have the Gigantamax clouds, which that's
really?
Yeah, that's like part of it. I'll have to find it because apparently.
Jeez, Christian, this would have been a nice segment for the show.
Well,
Yeah.
it was a.
I'm going to be honest. The only thing I could think of is when Hoffer just said a second ago, and this is going to get dark for a second, was when Hoffer was like, "Oh, the voices of your past loved ones speak to you." All I could think was like, sometimes like when people like try to honor their past loved ones and they get like Build-A-Bears and they put voice recordings.
Oh my God! Why would anyone do that?
Oh,
now,
have I not?
Now the only thing I can think of is someone going to Build-A-Bear, recording like a past loved one's voice, putting it in the Gengar, and then it literally does that.
Have I never told you those stories? Because I've got plenty of them from my day.
I need you to spill.
I had a woman bring in the ashes of her dead cat and wanted to put them in a stuffed cat.
Oh, wow, that's a
lot.
Oh yeah.
Hell.
We had there was a family whose grandfather had passed away, and they had recorded his heartbeat sound from like his final days, and then wanted to put that as a recording for the sound with like the actual heartbeat thing that you can put in there. Oh, it was crazy.
Oh God!
There were some crazy things.
Oh jeez! This reminds me. So there was like a Reddit thread a couple of days ago where it's like post a picture that doesn't seem creepy but actually is.
Oh, I went on that one. Oh man, I spent 8 hours on it.
Yeah, I was about to say one. That was a definite way to lose a few hours of sleep and have some really screwed up dreams. But it came up and it reminded me of back in Victorian times, they used to dress up your freshly dead loved one in like their finest clothes, and you take a family portrait with it, with the corpse. And that is the apparently 21st century consumerist equivalent to that. I mean,
okay, I have found the Gigantamax plushes.
Good.
The Charizard one looks amazing.
There's a Charizard one? Oh,
it looks amazing.
Of course there's a Charizard one. It's
Meowth is kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Meowth is creepy.
I like that the Eevee one, accurately has the little clouds over just one of its ears.
That's really cute.
I mean, some of them, you don't think they make sense. It's like, why would you include the Gigantamax clouds in these? But sure enough, they go all in. It's like, no, when we said we were going to make these, that is part of the official image. Therefore, we must include it.
Well, like for Eevee, they
we've got
have to include
Corviknight
it.
and
Yeah. Is Butterfree the last one?
no, Alcremie.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
Giant tower cake.
is the
Yeah,
Alcremie
because-
one a scale to? Is it scale? Like is it?
Is it
I
a body pillow
I
size?
don't believe
Yeah.
these are scale.
Dang, I'm upset.
But the Charizard one is easily
Yeah.
like if that comes to the States.
They'll
Or is it-
be here eventually. These
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of these.
When those come to the States, there is also apparently a shirt that's got the Pokeball guy on it,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw that.
which
Oh, yeah.
is incredible.
He's just like the cult favorite of that entire game.
I love Pokeball guy.
Oh, for sure. I wish he was the champion.
Did you see that you can?
That's it. That's the story I want to know. I want to know
Yeah.
how Pokeball guy became Pokeball guy.
Well,
Yeah.
the best part about it is that like I think there's like a throwaway line about Ball Guy that states that dude isn't actually hired by the
Yeah, no, he
like
just
the
shows up.
Galar Link. He's just
Is
there.
he just a super
Yeah.
fan?
He's
Yeah,
just like a
he's
super fan.
Yeah. He's just there hanging out, he dresses up like the mascot. He gives
Oh, he's
them-
totally a serial killer.
100%. He will be the true villain. Actually, he'll end up being like Hop's secret, like sensei in the anime series.
I can't wait till we get the Twilight Wings episode about Ball Guy.
Ball Guy. Oh,
That's-
God, yes.
That's what I'm excited for.
Oh, that is
Wow.
incredible.
One news item, and we've already gone horrifically off track.
And it wasn't even on the rundown.
No, it wasn't even there.
All right, let's get back on track. Pokemon Go. We've been talking about how they have made the game incredibly more accessible, given the social distancing protocols that almost all states, can't say all of them anymore, are all kind of facing. And so remote raids are live.
I think this is a good thing. They're basically another premium pass, so you don't get free remote raids. You have to pay money for them, which some people will be upset about. But I think it's a decent compromise. They just went live yesterday, so I haven't actually had the chance to go and use one. I did buy some, but nobody has been hopping into doing remote raids where I live, which I would say I'm shocked by, but I'm not. But when
So sad.
we'll see how it all goes when it happens. Yeah. So yeah, remote raids. Go and
And then
buy
we're
'em
getting
from-
a Kanto throwback.
Actually,
Mhm.
from the time that I wrote the script for this, and when we're recording this,
It's live.
no, it's not live, thank God. But they announced. So this entire story is kind of hilarious. This is a classic Pokemon Go story. So yesterday, a small segment of people suddenly got this Kanto throwback event that just like popped up, like there were special research tasks, and like only like a few people got them, and people were like, "What the heck is this?" Yeah, Pokemon Go leaked their own event.
Oh,
Naturally. That's the
So
most on brand.
it comes out today that there will actually be a total of 5 of these events. Each of these are special timed challenges. So you have it's a little bit unclear. Like I know that I think it's because they said that you only have 7 days to complete them, but the screen capture that they used with it mentioned that it actually was like 14 or 15 days to complete it. But basically,
Oh, wow.
you have to complete 8 sets of 3 tasks. And so it can be anything from like take a picture of a ghost type Pokemon. And all of the different events tie into different like things that happened in various Pokemon games. So it's like, okay, since you went to the Pokemon Tower in Pokemon Red and Blue, take a picture of a ghost type Pokemon. And if you complete those, you get a different legendary Pokemon. So for the Kanto Throwback Challenge, it's Mewtwo. For Johto, it'll be Ho-Oh. Groudon is Hoenn, and Sinnoh is Cresselia, because apparently they couldn't give us one of the cool ones. They had to give us Cresselia. But if you complete all 4 of those, you unlock a special research task, which gets you even more stuff, including some encounters with some Galarian variants, which will be added to the game in June. And everyone will get those Galarian variants. And apparently it includes both Obstagoon and Berserker, which is a bit surprising, because that means that we're officially getting new Galar Pokemon, as opposed to just like variants.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's all coming out in May and June. Sorry, it was a bit of a ramble. It literally just happened 30 minutes ago.
Good timing. Good timing.
Yeah. At least they did it before we recorded instead of after.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's pretty sweet. I'm excited to get Berserker because obviously who wouldn't be?
Berserker is like one of my favorites from the Oh, and the other thing, I totally forgot. Speaking of favorites, they used the Google's Pokemon of the Year thing. And so for each event, so each of these will be like rolling out once per week in May. And with each event, you can also get a Pikachu wearing a different kind of hat that is based on whatever Pokemon was voted most popular from that region. So you can get a Charizard hat wearing Pikachu.
Ooh.
And a Lucario wearing hat Pikachu, and an Umbreon hat wearing Pikachu, and a Rayquaza hat wearing Pikachu.
That's what I want.
Wow.
That's what I want. I can just already hear the people saying, because I know Greninja won overall, but like we're not getting that far, and everyone's gonna be like, "Where's Greninja?" Flipping over tables.
I forgot you really don't like Greninja.
I don't. I'm sorry. I saw that I dislike Greninja. Let me make that totally clear. I love me a Greninja. It's just
you don't like Greninja fans.
I don't like Greninja stands. There's a difference.
Oh, okay.
There's a difference. They're just never. Anyways.
No, I can relate to that. Like, it's kind of like how I dislike Boston sports, not because of Boston sports teams, but because of Boston sports fans. Like, if not for the fans, I'd probably like those like sports teams like a lot more. Instead, I hate them all with the rage of 1,000 burning suns, as opposed to the other kind of sun.
Wow,
that's not burning.
That's a bunch of tea spilled right there.
So I didn't realize Rotom was really considered a like competitive Pokemon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very highly handy because it has a very diverse moveset. And each one has, its own abilities, which make them just an absolute pain in the ass. Lots of coverage. You get a lot of coverage options with the different Rotoms.
Interesting. So Pokemon Sword and Shield are adding more max raid battles, focusing on.
Yes, this is live as of when we recorded it, so definitely live by the time you're listening it. And it's Pokemon like Whimsicott, Excadrill, Rotom. There's one
Tyranitar.
Tyranitar, yeah.
Togekiss.
So a lot of these are Pokemon that are popular in competitive play. So this basically gives you a chance to not only get some high level, high IV Pokemon that you can, that are very commonly used in battles, but it gives you a chance to see like, oh, what am I going to do with this like Wash Rotom? It's like, well, the answer is you use it to like destroy people in ranked battles and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and Dragapult. Dragapult's the other one.
Yep.
So yeah. So we've talked a little bit on the website about some of these like random Pokemon that are just insanely good. Whimsicott is one of them. Like Whimsicott is like unfairly good in competitive play. It's like absolutely mind-boggling because Whimsicott basically is one of those like Pokemon that you think would be useless.
Yeah.
And it's actually like, just so freaking unstoppable. You can set up just so much with Whimsicott because it gets priority on non-damage moves with with Trickster. I think it's Trickster ability. I could be wrong, but or Prankster. I think it's Prankster, not Trickster.
Prankster is what it is.
And so you can, set up like Tailwind and, basically speed up your entire team and make sure that, you get priority on all sorts of attacks. And it's just, oh man, it's a good Pokemon to have. And it's been, they have like tried to make it irrelevant and they cannot do it. Like everyone uses Whimsicott. Whimsicott gets used so much in competitive Pokemon play because it's just a silly little fluff ball that makes your life a living hell.
Yeah, it's a really I love the strange oddities when like cute Pokemon versus ugly Pokemon versus versus cool looking Pokemon and their like various surprise power levels.
Yeah.
And so
it kind of reminds me of how in the Pokemon trading card game, I think they are incapable of making a bad Garbodor Pokemon card. Like the metagame so many times has like there's been like a Garbodor card that is just just an absolute badass. Like it keeps happening. And I think like the new Gmax or VMAX, excuse me, Garbodor is also like super great. Yeah.
Nice. So that's going on now. Make sure to get in if you want, to up the stats or upgrade some Pokemon you may have in your party if you're not too emotionally attached to them. Swap them out for a better model.
Wow.
That's on a side note, that's always been that's kind of one of my big issues with the Pokemon Sword and Shield max raid battles. It's like, like if I've got like a Corviknight that I've had since it was a little baby.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, but it can't Gigantamax, so you better swap it out. It's like, but no, this thing traveled with me since Route 1. It's like, but it can't Gigantamax. I hope eventually they, do something about that when as like Pokemon Sword and Shield's like cycle like reaches the end. Which won't be for like another 2 years, but
right.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, that's my issue with competitive play. I will never give up I will never do it. Like, I just can't. I cannot give up Yamper. I refuse.
No.
I will not get rid of him. He's staying with me.
Give it up.
Will not. Refuse. It's unfair because then you watch like the anime and like Ash still has Pikachu. Pikachu is able to do, I think Pikachu is like the god of Pokemon. He can do almost whatever he wants. Like, it's unfair. He gets to keep Pikachu. Why can't I if I want to like be competitive? Sorry, it's just very upsetting.
Lastly, for our news break, Pokemon Gold and Silver beta sprites have found their way online.
So
that was an ordeal and a half.
So this one, this is a weird. All right, so back in 2018, Pokemon Gold and Silver, a bunch of beta sprites leaked onto the internet. It was, and it was a big deal because it had like dozens of Pokemon that had never been seen before and eventually were cut from the game. So that came from the 1997 beta that was released at Space World, which is, I can't even remember because I'm tired. So fast forward to now, and somebody leaked the beta sprites from the 1999 version of Gold and Silver, also from Space World. This came from somebody hacked into the Nintendo servers a while ago, and so that's where it came from. So we couldn't really like post these images on our site because they were stolen from Nintendo. But we did look at them, and there were a couple of like interesting things. There's a lot of Pokemon that they were. It was kind of like this is the not quite as like crazy as the 97 versions, but not the final package. Probably everyone's favorite was Wooper, which which in this version had like 4 legs. It was basically like some like weird frog instead of like the legless, two-legged thing that, everyone like sees and goes, oh yeah, that's a whooper, and like walks away from it. This whooper actually looks cute. I want to protect this whooper. I wish this, or whooper. I wish this whooper had actually made it into the game. The other thing is Celebi looks creepy as heck.
Celebi looks like something out of Alien.
Yeah, it does. It
just
looks like
does.
it looks like it would kill you.
Yeah.
And not even like think about it, because it doesn't like acknowledge you as a like on the same level of it. It would be like it would kill you, and it's like, this is akin to crushing a bug.
I mean, that's
what was the one like a giant like weird bone dragon?
The bone dragon came from one of the older. That came from the 97 leaks.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, I think it was originally one of the like, I don't even know what I can't even remember what they were going to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
But yeah, it was one of the Pokemon that got cut. But that one looks like awesome too.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing like the discourse around this leak, because when back in 2018 when the 97 leak went live, I mean, everybody and their mother was sharing it. They were talking about it. They did not care what Nintendo thought. This one, I mean, I saw a bunch of,
they went up and then they disappeared.
I mean, not only was Nintendo like way quicker about it, but also I just saw a lot of people who were not sharing it just to start with, that the Discord already like, we know this isn't a legitimate thing. We're going to let Nintendo release it on their own time. If they ever should officially release it, we're not going to post or share these images. And I mean, a lot of that I'm sure was coming from the legality of the situation, that yes, these were hacked from Nintendo. These were stolen images. This was not your intellectual property. But the fact that the community as a whole was kind of like, I'm not going to share all of these except for Whooper, because he's just so cute.
He's just so darn cute. I mean, well, the difference is back in 2018, we didn't know where that Space World leak came from. The guy who ultimately had those files tried to say that he had a legitimate copy. And it didn't come out until that entire mess involving the Gen 1 beta leaks, where we only got the back sprites, because the dude, I don't know if this was like 100% confirmed, but I'm pretty sure like he was holding that information back basically to either try to sell off the information, or because it would be 100% clear where he got the betas from. But, this all came from the same person who hacked into the Nintendo servers and stole a bunch of stuff from Nintendo. And like, you can talk about, leaks happen, and, we've talked about like the legality of it before. But, back in 2018, it was kind of like we were already all operating under the assumption that these beta, these sprites were, leaked. But it was somebody's actual copy. Someone had a legitimate copy and had, harvested these, as opposed to I stole this information. And, in general, the Pokemon fan base has been burned before. There's, if you're listening to this podcast, I assume about Cerebi, which is, kind of like the premier news site about Pokemon. He used to post like betas and, stuff like that until he got a cease and desist order. And, he his site almost had to shut down because of it. So, a lot of people, when Nintendo decides it's going to start flexing its muscles, people pay attention to it.
Yeah. So I couldn't, I thought it was interesting. That guy's like, oh, the fandom's grown so much. We're such a happy community. And then I realized, no, Nintendo just is even bigger and has even bigger lawyers who's just on top of the situation with how social media has evolved. They knew the second it started going up. I just love how, somehow amongst everything that went live, Whooper is the thing that has,
some things
survived.
Cannot be contained.
He's the one thing that survived the crusade. And it was just like, I am here. I am Whooper.
I love it. Love
it so much.
All right, let's take a quick break, and when we get back, we will talk about Pokemon Journeys coming to Netflix. Well,
I called it.
Called it.
I called it so hard.
We all called it. I was about to say that this has been a running point of our podcast for what, like 3 months?
Christian did not want it to happen.
Christian at first there was hesitation.
I never said that I didn't want it to happen. I didn't want it.
You were #1 Disney Channel stan.
No, I wasn't a Disney Channel stan. Okay, let's clarify. Okay, what I did not want, and Pokemon Company, they worked out some sort of deal with Netflix. What I didn't want was for us to get new episodes once per year. That would suck.
Oh yeah, that would be
really freaking suck. It is the worst. Netflix is, and I don't get me wrong, I love Netflix. I'm a Netflix stockholder. So let's be clear here. Like, I want nothing but for Netflix just to make lots of money all the time and then give it back to me. But what I don't like about Netflix is the fact that, especially with anime properties, they hold stuff. They hold on stuff for like years, and it sucks. It freaking sucks. As an anime fan, it sucks. And so I did not want them to do that to Pokemon. Because Pokemon is too important.
So are you shocked with how quickly we are getting episodes?
Well, let's back up a second to give some context for people who are listening. So for those who don't know, last week, Netflix just dropped anime bombs everywhere, and they did confirm that they are going to be the exclusive licensor, stream share of Pokemon Journeys, which is the English dub title we've talked about for the new Pokemon anime that's currently airing in Japan, but is now on hiatus because of the pandemic. So starting in June, Netflix will begin streaming these episodes. We're not sure how many episodes will be released in the first bundle, but 12. Yeah, sorry, 12. It was announced. But quarterly is when they'll be updating episodes. So I think it's like every 3 months or something. They'll be putting out new episodes of the anime. They have brought on new dub cast, but they've also brought back returning. So the returning voice of Ash, who's been doing the Ash voice like the last decade or something. She'll be returning to do the voice of Ash. We have the My Hero Academia dub voice of Hawks is voicing Go, which is hilarious to me. So that's the frequency in which we're getting it. And so we know we're for sure getting English dub. A lot of fans are hoping we will also be able to get the Japanese audio as well as the original soundtrack opening and ending themes, but none of that information has been confirmed yet. So
I'm really hopeful that we'll get the full opening, which would be a first. I mean, it sucks if you've ever watched like the Japanese opens and you compare it to like the 15-second like English opens that we get. As like the English open is like a generic like Pokemon, gotta catch them all, traveling through the Unova region, and the English version or the Japanese versions are like, let us look back at the 20-year history of the anime.
It's great.
Here is Butterfree and its mate. Here is Tracy Sketchum, who we haven't seen in like 10 years. Here's everyone holding hands. Now there's like, here's a sudden, segue to like, Team Rocket mechs destroying the world. Here's a picture of Ash crying in front of a burning house for some reason. It's just totally different.
It's very melodramatic, but also like very referential to like the past of the anime, which is great, which I think is particularly relevant to Pokemon Journeys. So very, very hopeful we'll get that. And I'm very also pleased that we're going to be getting the 3 months episode dump. So that means hopefully we'll be getting at least 12 episodes minimum every dump. Obviously in our binge community and society, those will go very quickly.
They're not going to last long.
Yeah, but I think it's great. I just think it's a great opportunity for the show.
I think the good thing, there are pros and cons to this.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, Disney XD, when they bought, the rights to Pokemon, they had like, we are going to do like a Saturday anime block that has basically just fallen apart, in part because I think they just couldn't keep up with, all the other stuff. And also, their brand is stuff like, they can't really get much more serious than Pokemon. So, you compare like
Yeah.
it was like Pokemon Beyblade and Yokai Watch. And it's like, okay, well, one of those things is okay.
Hey, don't be hating on Yokai Watch. I'm assuming you're talking about Pokemon here.
Yeah,
Unless
no,
you are
like
praising Yokai Watch, in which
I
case.
am not praising Yokai Watch. The only good
Rude.
thing about Yokai Watch is the dance. That is literally the only,
So.
remotely nice thing about Yokai Watch. The rest of that franchise is awful, and it made me laugh that, people were like, "Oh yeah, this is going to be the next rival to Pokemon," and then
Oh,
it
no.
didn't.
That was never going to happen.
So, I think that this definitely makes the Pokemon anime feel a lot more relevant here in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
It's getting basically like rarefied, attention from Netflix. Like, it's not being treated like they treat most of their other anime series.
Oh, yeah.
It's getting treated as like it were a Netflix original series, like She-Ra or Carmen Sandiego is one of their big ones right now, where we're getting those like new episodes basically as quickly as they can, like get a bunch of them done and pump them out. And like I think it is a good thing.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a little bit disappointing that it won't be broadcast on television for the first time in 20 years. But then again, who watches broadcast television anyways?
I mean, for me, I just moved. Like, I don't have cable. Like, I cut the cord. Like, I do not have cable. If I have to watch something on cable, I just log into my parents' like AT&T account so I can watch it because like they love it. But for me, I mean, Netflix is definitely the way to be reaching a broader audience than Disney XD provided. Because even when I had cable, like when I was like living at my parents' house, like their cable package didn't have Disney XD. So like I still couldn't watch it and I had cable. Like it was so infuriating to me. And then none of the other streaming websites like Crunchyroll or Funimation or like anything had it. There was the Pokemon TV app, which was not that great. So like for a really long time, I was kind of like starved of the Pokemon anime, and that did cause a lot of people my age who are very much into anime from not being able to keep up with it. Luckily, the fandom has been able to fill in those knowledge gaps for us to be able to pay attention to the story. But the fact that Netflix is now finding a way to team up with the Pokemon company to provide this anime and its episodes on a timely basis
and this
is excellent. So
this is also the closest that we're ever going to get to a simulcast.
Yes, for sure.
No,
unless something drastically changes, and the only reason I could see it changing is if for some reason Pokemon does just absolutely nuts numbers for Netflix, which I'll be curious. It's not like Netflix is ever going to release that data, but I'd be curious to see their response to it. The only reason I could see them trying to do it is with that situation, but I'm just not sure Netflix is quite up to that capability of doing that simulcast quite yet. So, yeah.
This also means that we're probably going to get all future Pokemon movies for the next few years just straight to Netflix on Pokemon Day, like they've done with the Mewtwo Strikes Back, which, we really haven't talked about that with all like the discussion of it coming to Netflix. I mean, I assume that people just like knew that would be the case, but that's also like a really great thing too, because, most people don't get to watch those movies anyways until they come to Netflix. So
I think it's a great promotion. I mean, when they did the US events or the theatrical events, there was always like Tuesday at 2 p.m. that you could go watch the movie, which is like not conducive for anyone's schedule, whether you're a kid or you're an adult. Like it just doesn't work out. And I think that the way Netflix did the stream for Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution, it trended on Twitter. Like that has not happened for a Pokemon movie in the US in such a long time. So I feel like that was an excellent move for them. I'm very pleased with this entire situation. I mean, I understand that there's some people who are bemoaning the fact that it's the end of the television era for Pokemon. But for me, I'm still okay because it's still airing all the time in Japan. So it's not like television presence. It's just the consumer like one thing you have to remember, the consumer like intake of entertainment is different, globally. The US is becoming very streaming centric. Japan really doesn't stream a lot. Like they're not super into it. I mean, they'll occasionally go onto Netflix, and that's why Netflix has so aggressively grown its anime catalog in Japan. But like it's not going to quit airing in Japan on television because that's still the primary mode of watching content.
Well, even from an advertising standpoint, they can command more on that front than I think they can do anywhere else. So I mean, it makes sense.
Absolutely. So I'm very pumped about it. I'm excited to see where this goes.
I had trouble with the trailer, especially because there's that moment where Go is all like, Cinderace is a great Pokemon, and then I just want to be like, knowing what we know, like, Go you.
Yeah, I am very pleased that they gave Go such an obnoxious voice. Like it is deliberately done so. Like the voice actor who does him is a great voice actor. So this is not like, oh well, it's because they have a crappy voice cast. No, it's because the voice they made a deliberate choice to make Go sound obnoxious, which further backs my case that this entire series is going to end with just the ultimate Ash like beatdown. Ash is gonna like bomb Go from outer space with the Rayquaza he catches.
Like, yeah, it's pretty annoying. When I heard it, it was just like, I don't know, the weird dissonance. It's not how I expected Go to sound. Like Zeno Robinson's a great voice actor. Like the fact that he's on a bigger platform with My Hero Academia is great. His performance as Hawks is like so spot on. It's exactly what I imagined. But like Go, I feel like it's also because Go doesn't really have a personality yet, like a likable one at the very least.
So he does have a personality.
So it's like not a likable personality, but there's something about the voice. It's obnoxious, but like it makes me like, it doesn't completely like repulse me. So
well, he's not supposed to be an entirely repulsive character.
Well, they haven't really done that yet in the anime.
We're close. We're close.
I'm curious to see how that voice could develop. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm also just interested to see. Well, one, they romanized his name as Goh, as like Go, like more like rather than just like Go or Gou in the Japanese. So for me personally, as an anime writer, my whole style guide for writing about Pokemon's changed. I'll be working on that for a little bit. But I'm interested to see how the other characters like names will change. Mainly about Dende.
Yeah, I'm just look, I am honestly really happy with the timeliness of this and the fact that they were able to get this up, and with them, exploring some Galar stuff as well, and in this, it's just, it will help now. Like it feels like a good part for me as someone who has really come back to the franchise, kind of reintroducing my kid to it and all that. As a Sword and Shield was her first kind of game experience, and so now we've got like a new anime to start kind of from the beginning with Journey. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm totally pleased. Nothing about this I hate. A+ Netflix, good job. They got that, they got One Piece, and they got Avatar: The Last Airbender in like a day. They announced it, so like, good job.
Now, do we know if the One Piece is going to be like dubbed too, or are they just going to do the subs for that? Just on I've been meaning to ask, like, look this up, and I just haven't bothered.
If they're dubbing it, I would be very surprised if they didn't do a completely new dub.
Oh yeah, because I mean, the 4Kids dub is terrible.
Yeah, I mean the Funimation. Yeah, I mean the Funimation dub has been excellent. So hopefully they'll stick with that. Colleen Clinkenbeard as Monkey D. Luffy is A+. But right now we don't have any details on that. They just kind of spitball it out. So we'll see what it means.
Yep.
All right, Christian, why don't you give us the Pokemon fact of the week?
Okay, well, unfortunately, since we're continuing our trek along the Pokedex, the Pokedex, we don't have a particularly exciting Pokemon fact of the week for our 1-year anniversary, but it's it is a kind of like a one. Tentacruel was not originally known as Tentacruel in the Pokemon beta. It had a different name, a name that frankly I think is a lot cooler. It was originally called Manowar.
That's pretty cool.
That's a
It
cool
is.
name, but it doesn't sound like I don't get the
Like, it's
pun. Like I don't understand like the
Well,
joke.
the reason why is because there's actually a tentacled underwater sea creature called the Portuguese Manowar. It looks nothing like Tentacruel. It is basically something pulled straight out of H.P. Lovecraft. Just
Good.
like a nightmare jellyfish. But yeah, so originally it was just called Manowar. Which I thought was, actually really freaking awesome. It's like that's a really cool name. There's nothing else really interesting about Tentacool and Tentacruel that we don't already know. It's one of those Pokemon, and we can't even, it doesn't even have anything cool like, oh yeah, it beats up Graveler because it can, sort of like interesting thing to it. It eats fish Pokemon. It's like, well, yeah, no, duh.
I mean, understandable.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I'm glad we went with Tentacool and Tentacruel because Man of War just reminds me of comic books. Like it puts me so centrally in like a comic book headspace and just takes me right out like the anime aspect. So I'm glad the dubbing they did. Whoever like localizes those names and gives them like the punny elements, like I just want to thank them. I want to thank them so much because you do such a great job.
Especially when you compare them to some like the Japanese names. It's kind of like what's Vaporeon's like name in Japanese? Isn't it just like water or something like that?
It's just like water cat or something. It's like so it's just so like explicit. And it's like I like our weird fantastical names. Like, you know what? Thank you. Thank you for that.
That's all I got.
Wow.
Sorry, we just had a praise.
Listen, listen. One, we're recording this on a different day as usual, so I have not. Usually by the time like I get to Wednesday, I'm at like peak crazy, and Tuesday is still like kind of like one of my chill days. Like I don't have the manic get me out of here. I've been doing too much. I've been working too long.
Did either of you use Tentacruel in the original games? I loved Tentacruel.
I did.
Tentacruel
was cool.
was on my team.
He wasn't on my team, but I really like my brother kept him the whole way.
Yeah, I think the only reason I didn't use Tentacruel was because his moveset, like I use Golduck. So there was like, like I get that, Tentacruel had some like poison moves, but I could just use that with, I could just use Bulbasaur if I wanted poison stuff. So, there just really wasn't a good spot for him on my original team. Wasn't anything like against him.
I love the look of Tentacruel.
Yeah, the original Tentacruel sprite looks
terrifying.
Like, it's like one of the most sinister ones in the game.
I mean, Tentacruel is a Pokemon that has consistently had very good sprites.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and it got probably one of the best spotlights in the original anime.
Oh yeah, it was
like when Tentacruel attacks Vermilion City and Ash and Brock and Misty have to send out like their air force to stop them. And it's like that's like the most iconic scene in the entire anime, the first season. It gets multiple things in the English opening where like Tentacruel is like wrecking a city, and then it's like, oh yeah, here comes Bulbasaur. Strapped to Pidgeotto or Butterfree or something like that. And like there's Pikachu flying on Pidgeotto's back, and I forget who the third one was, but it was Zubat, and I forget what Zubat was doing. But it's like that's a really awesome like visual. It's like, here are Pokemon flying off to war.
I wish Tentacruel had a cooler shiny color thing. Like I would love it if they like instead just made the blue like black or something. Like it'd be like
Yeah, instead of
totally
because
badass.
it's shiny, it's just green
The,
eyes.
yeah, the red orb.
Yeah.
Yeah, the red orbs become green, which is stupid.
Yeah, it doesn't really vibe. I agree.
Stupid shiny colors.
That's why we don't like shinies here.
That's right.
I like shinies.
Well, that's
They're
why.
stupid. They're all ugly.
Yeah,
Not all
you're
of them.
Like 90%, 90,
Charizard and
95% of them
Rayquaza are my only like.
Yeah, Rayquaza.
I mean,
is
Rayquaza
pretty
is
awesome.
just like
you
you can't really do bad with Rayquaza. Let's face it.
that black Rayquaza, especially if you like Mega Evolve it, just
Yep.
Perfection.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's 95% of all shinies are
Garbage.
yeah. They're
Yes,
just
I agree.
They're garbage.
I don't care.
Which is a shame. But anyway, we have some user reviews we can read. So every once in a while,
I was like, where are you going with that?
It's like,
what is that noise?
every once in a while, we read your reviews and we give away shirts for them for 5-star reviews on iTunes. Just a little way for us to give back as a thank you for letting other people know about the show. iTunes reviews obviously help us a lot. They get the word out to more people. People will come to the page and check out whether or not this is a show they want to listen to. Your rave reviews help them make that decision a whole lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go. So for a while, we had a bunch of people as a kind of inside joke for the show correcting us.
Yeah, I went through the other week and looked at them, and I was like, "Wow, we really."
We were actively encouraging.
We were actively,
it.
yeah.
And then I remembered, and I was like, "Oh, we asked for this. Why did we do that?"
Right.
But I appreciated it. It was great, constructive.
So I'm gonna start off with a nice one first before we get to one of the other ones. This one's from Nikki Roma, 5 stars. This show is a must. Such an amazing podcast dedicated to the world of Pokemon. I always look forward to the latest episodes and find myself refreshing my podcast app to hopefully see a new one. The 3 hosts are top notch with insightful and fun information, and they bring their own energy and knowledge to the show. I just got done watching the trailer for Pokemon Journeys, and I gotta say, Go's voice is meh. It sounds like Mega Lucario punched him in the gut with his spike paws. It says it's to be released June 12th via Netflix, and so we'll wait and see. Thank you for all you do. You bring such joy to these times of uncertainty. Keep up the great work. I always look forward to the PokeFact of the week. Here is a question for all of you. If you can choose any 2 gym leaders from any region to have a full battle, who would they be? Thanks again, guys, and keep on catching them all. I like that question. That's a good question.
That's a good one.
Pick 2 gym leaders from any region to have a full battle with. Who would they be? Does anyone need time to think?
I'm going Karina and Surge because I feel like Surge would just get the floor wiped with him.
Right.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty accurate.
I mean, she has a Lucario, so it's just like.
Sorry. I'm trying to think of some like really good gym leaders from some of the more recent games. Like I'd like to see Koga because I always thought that Koga was just an awesome trainer. And also he's like the one trainer, like one of like 3 trainers in the game to get promoted to I'll go, you know what? I'll go Koga versus Cynthia. I just think
are these pick 2 that you would see against each other? I thought they were 2 that we would want to go.
Oh
no, you're right. Yeah, no, choose
they battle each other.
Right, any 2 gym leaders to battle each other. Okay.
I just think that would just like
Cynthia's
exude badassness. Like, just like, because Cynthia is like,
Cynthia would just step on him.
Probably, but that's like Cynthia's kind of like, that's her like big energy. And I'd be okay with that.
That's true.
But and it would be fun to see like Koga pull out his like ninja tricks. That's the big thing. It's like I'd really like to see exactly what like Koga could do with the chains off. Like, in a championship level battle, what sort of just like evil, underhanded ninja shenanigans could Koga pull off? So that's what I'm gonna go with.
I really okay. So here we go. I want to see I want to see Cabu from Sword and Shield
Mm.
and Drayden, because they feel like two old guys who have weathered, like have lived the Pokemon gym life
Yeah.
and need a win.
Yeah.
And I would like to see which one of the two old dudes will come out on top.
See, I figured it was going to be something like you're going to pick Lieutenant Surge versus Brock, so you could see Graveler,
Oh,
go up against Lieutenant Surge. Oh, and by the way, Lieutenant Surge would also lose that fight.
I felt like that was just a given. But to be serious, my other serious pick would be Misty and Nessa, because not that I think the battle itself would be interesting, but I feel like the poses they would strike at the battle, like posing with their Pokemon and like modeling mid like battle, would be the most epic, like JoJo Bizarre Adventure-esque thing ever. So.
It would just be Nessa doing it like super effortlessly and Misty getting pissed like the entire time. Like, yeah, it would be like, like
they wouldn't even need Pokemon to battle each other. They would just do face to face.
Misty doesn't have like the inferiority complex that she does in the anime, but going up against Nessa 100% would give her that inferiority complex.
I think any trainer versus Nessa would do that, though, to be honest with you. Even Cynthia.
I don't know. Like those two would just end up like teaming up to take over the world.
Yeah, they'd be like, why fight? Why can't we just work together on this? This is true. I do approve of that even more so. Girls support girls. I love it.
All right. That was a good one. Got one from ASU Dom17. It's very very basic but very helpful review. Thank you for your tips on Sword and Shield, because I was being an idiot with the end game. I'm glad we could help, Dom.
I hope you're doing
well
educated now.
So one of the last ones we read was Blowhopper's Mind. And someone has dropped in one, Mudkip14, Unblowhopper's Mind. It would be my pleasure to inform you guys that Pokemon has already dealt with Rayquaza's situation. If Rayquaza is holding a Z Crystal, it will not be able to Mega Evolve in the first place. The Mega Evolution option and the Z Move option take up the same spot on a Pokemon's attack choices anyway. Honestly, Pokemon could easily have all three of these mechanics in the game by only having one thing on the left side of the attack menu. Example, a Pokemon with a Z Crystal has the Z Move option, a Pokemon with an unrelated item has the Dynamax feature, and a Pokemon with the Mega Stone has the Mega Evolution feature.
Yeah.
So Rayquaza can either be put in the boat with all the Pokemon who can theoretically use Z moves and Dynamax, or on the boat with Pokemon that can theoretically Mega Evolve and Dynamax. Sorry for spoiling this idea for you guys. Also, the show is nice.
Thank you. But we're playing by our own physics here in this podcast. we just go by our own situation. But yeah, no, that is correct.
Yep. So there we go. So thank you, folks. Always love reading your reviews. If just shoot me an email, and when we get back to the office at some point, we will send out your shirts. You can find this show every Thursday wherever podcasts can be found: Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, you name it, we are there. And if you want to get in touch with us and talk to us about Pokemon and the news of the week or the day, just hit us up on Twitter. You can find me at Jim Biscardi.
I'm on Twitter at Megan Peters CB.
And I'm at Seahoffer C-Bus.
So we will, until next time, this has been a fun year to do this show. Like that. Every once in a while we'll, at the end of the show, we'll just, really thank everyone for listening. We wouldn't do it unless you guys showed up, and you guys show up. So we do.
Yeah.
Truly.
Now, who would have thought that a niche podcast like this, would have lasted as long as it did? Like, I was really worried when we, first decided to do this podcast that we just, wouldn't have enough stuff to cover on a weekly basis. Like, I was like, we'll do like 20-minute recordings. I think that was our original plan, was like 20, 30 minutes a week, maybe. And like now it's like, like this one's like an hour, like we can usually clear 50 minutes without like really pushing ourselves. But yeah,
Yeah.
like I was genuinely worried that we were gonna like run out of things to talk about, and I was also worried that I'd get quickly replaced. Because
Wow.
I always worry about those things.
Wow.
Jim has been putting up with me for 5 years, and me being constantly worried that I'm going to get canned at like a second's notice. Like I am constantly like in his DMs, like Jim, like don't forget this, don't forget that. Also, please don't fire me. Like constant for the last 5 years.
Wow.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, you do what you gotta do. I mean, it's been just great, like seeing the community form around this podcast. I mean, getting messages from all you guys and like nerding out about Pokemon. It does such a great thing to like normalize. Like, if you like something, celebrate it. Celebrate it however you can, with a podcast, with friends, with just watching it by yourself, decked out in merchandise or not. Just passively enjoying it however you want to, and embrace Pokemon, bring in this nostalgia or experiencing it for the first time. Like, it's great. We're happy to be able to cater to every level of fandom, because all three of us came in at our own individual levels.
Mhm.
Like, whether Jim was hustling someone or not, it doesn't matter. Like, it's okay. Like, we come in at our own points. Like, there should be nothing intimidating about Pokemon. When we're talking about competitive stuff earlier, I was like blanking out. I was like, oh man, I don't know what's happening. So it's always great to just learn from it. So like, just thank y'all for showing up.
All right, now for year 2. We'll see you all same time, same place next week. Catch you then.